Today we're going to talk about the 6 signs that may tell you that you're not eating enough. And possibly if you have been watching my YouTube channel, or if you're part of the Recover from Hypothalamic Amenorrhea support group, or if you have been following my Instagram, Facebook page, and if you have been downloading any of my ebooks of Magnet, or maybe you're part of the Period Comeback Protocol, you kind of already know if you're eating enough or not. But some of you may have already made some changes, and maybe you're at a point where you really don't know. You really don't know if what you're doing is good enough, or you still need to step up your meal plans, let's say. So for all the women that don't know me, my name is Claudia Vidor. I'm a nutrition and dietetic clinician. I live and work here in Sydney, Australia, even though I have clients from all over the world. I am the founder of the Recover from HA support group, Nourished by Claudia, and the Period Comeback Protocol, which is a very high-touch coaching protocol that help you not only to get your period back, but also to get your vitality and life back. So today we're going to be discussing these 6 signs. And if you're here, it's also possible that because you have not been eating enough, or because you have been overtraining for an extended period of time, your level of estrogen is pretty low, which is also one of the reasons why you're not getting your period back. Why is estrogen important? So everyone think, okay, I need to have estrogen to get my menstrual cycle, right? But there are so many other things that are completely ruled by the presence or absence of estrogen. One is, for example, bone health. So for example, having enough estrogen prevents bone reabsorption by interfering with the production of osteoclast. And even though there is a strong correlation between estrogen and osteoclast, there is also a very strong connection between the production of osteoblasts and osteocytes and T cells, which are all part of the system that makes sure that your bones are protected in the long run. And back in the days, we used to listen stories about perimenopausal women and menopausal women with osteopenia and osteoporosis that had to deal with some fractures. But the reality is now that osteopenia and osteoporosis is seen in women from the very tender age of 16, 18, 19, and definitely in their 20s. And that's simply because if you didn't have estrogen when you were growing up, if you didn't have a period when you were a teenager, that's the time in your life where your bones were really were growing and getting stronger. So if you missed out on that window of opportunity, it's really a good time for you to take your health seriously so that you can prevent other things happening in the future. Another reasons why it's very important to have estrogen is for the production of collagen, for the growth of our muscle. But not only that, is also estrogen helps to boost our immune system, to promote a speedy recovery, our healing process. And then estrogen is also utilized not only to support the thyroid health and the thyroid production, because you may have already heard about the HPA axis regulatory systems, but there is also the HPT axis. So instead of saying hypothalamus pituitary adrenal gland axis, is the hypothalamus adrenal thyroid gland axis. So as you can tell, they are basically all connected, and it all starts from the brain, from our lovely hypothalamus, which is a part of your brain that we really need to protect and support at this stage of our life. Also, I do apologize. I have this horrible cough that started 4 days ago, and doesn't matter how many onions with manuka honey I'm taking every single day, which is not my favorite, is still not going away. So just don't mind me today, okay? I'm still gonna try my best, and I'm gonna be drinking plenty of water so I can minimize my cough. But so we were talking about how it helps the production of thyroid hormones, but it's also very much intertwined with the production of serotonin in our brain, so the production of neurotransmitters. Having too much or not having enough serotonin is detrimental, and that can lead to experiencing high level of anxiety, depression, and other problems in terms of our mental health. So Now that you receive this good reminder of why it's really important to have enough estrogen in our body, which is something that we always talk about in the period comeback protocol, and that's always something that I work with the fantastic women that are part of my group. Let's move on and let's try to identify the 6 signs that may tell you if you are eating enough. So the first one, let's get it out of the way. You don't have a period, you haven't had a period for more than 4 months, and you're suffering from subfertility, meaning that even you have been trying to get pregnant also with the help of medications and it didn't help. That means that your body is not ready to support a pregnancy and it doesn't have enough energy availability to create another human. So that's step number 1, basically. If your reproductive system has been shut down, chances are that you're undernourishing yourself, that you're overtraining, or that you are going through a very traumatic time in your life that could be caused by chronic pain, chronic stress, trauma, grief, and other things may come to play. Also, mind you, being in a postpartum phase can momentarily shut down the production of estrogen. Having said that, after 6 months after giving birth, it's normally a good time for a woman to get the period back, unless she's breastfeeding full time. Step number 2, lack of energy. I had so many women coming to me saying, I need a coffee in the afternoon. I need some pick-me-up in the afternoon. I don't want to leave the bed in the morning. I'm completely done by nighttime. And I don't know why. I don't have the energy to go to a festival. I don't have the energy to go out with my friends. I don't have the energy to do things. I don't have motivations. And I feel very much burnout. So 2 things may be happening here. First of all, you don't have enough endogenous energy to do all the things that you would like to do. And that makes you feel really guilty and frustrated because you look all the other women that are in your age group and they have the energy and you start wondering, what am I doing wrong? Why I don't have the energy? Secondly, women that tend to develop hypothalamic amenorrhea, they tend to have a very hyperactive, productive, perfectionist personality. And that can play a massive role when it comes to not having enough energy. Because if you're trying always to do if you're trying to do everything perfectly, if you're doing too many things all at once, if you're multitasking, if you don't have a moment in your day where you simply sit down and do nothing, if you don't allow yourself to take breaks throughout the week, if you are always constantly connected on your phone, sending messages, if you cannot set boundaries and say no to people, you may be burnout. So having hypothalamic amenorrhea and being burnout at the same time, it's a very dangerous place where to be because it can take a while to boost yourself up so you can get your endogenous energy and start feeling better. So both things can be tackled at the same time. Actually, both of them should be tackled at the same time. And that's something that I've been seeing with most of the women that have joined the Period Comeback Protocol lately. Just to say, the last 3 women that joined, they're all ticking boxes. Great careers, always people pleasers, always there for others, always on the go, incapable of sitting still, incapable of taking care of themselves, not because they don't want to, but because sometimes they don't even know what it looks like. And at the same time, they're blaming the busyness of their life to the lack of energy, when the reality is that they don't have energy to start with. And that's also possibly why the body is reacting with the burnout symptoms when they're taking on more than they can chew. Then the third one is gut issues and constipation. So I have women coming to me and say, I go to the toilet twice a week. I'm constantly bloated. I do suffer from reflux, heartburn. I cannot tolerate so-and-so foods. And what they do normally is that they start to cut down things from their diet because they believe that the food is the trigger, the food is the culprit, is what is making them feel unwell, it's what's causing constipation, reflux, and bloating. the reality is that if you have an intolerance or an allergy, food may give you symptoms. But if you have been restricting yourself for a long period of time, two things may be happening here. One is gastroparesis, and I don't know if you have ever heard of the term, and if you haven't, just jump on Google and have a look at what it is. And the second one is that your body doesn't have enough fiber, doesn't have enough fat, doesn't have enough energy, doesn't have enough muscle strength to allow you to have a regular bowel movement. And obviously not having a regular bowel movement and reabsorbing all the stuff that you should be really getting rid of, it's making you feel quite sick. And it's giving you also feeling of fullness, bloating, sulfur kind of burping, and so on and so forth. There are different conditions that can be connected with gastroparesis and hypothalamic amenorrhea. For example, as SIBO, IBS, and so on and so forth, especially if you have this kind of hyperactive perfectionist mentality. But the reality is that if you start from the basis, if you start from scratch, like I normally do with the people that come to me and they do experience this type of symptoms, you should start getting better within a month or even less than a month. But suffering from constipation, even though it's sometimes normalized, it's not exactly healthy. And just to give you an idea, in the Ayurvedic culture, it's they normally say that going to the bathroom up to 3 times a day without needing to strain, it's a healthy bowel movement. So if you're going only twice a week, you can quickly understand that's possibly not enough for your body or in general. So we have already talked about missing periods, subfertility. I'm checking my notes because I don't want to forget anything, the lack of energy, constipation, gut issues. Another one is sex drive, low sex drive. I have so many clients telling me, nada, nothing is happening. I don't have any desire. I just don't want it. And once again, first of all, we always need to take into consideration the relationship that you have with your partner, because there may be different reasons why you don't have a sex drive. But if generically speaking, you find that your husband or wife or the person that you are with is attractive and is someone that you respect, that you love, that you would like to spend time with, and you have identified that the problem between the two of you is because you really don't have any sex drive, that's something that can definitely be rectified by working on getting your hormones back on track. I have this wonderful client that she didn't have a sex drive for the longest time. And once she got, just before getting her period back, she sent me a message and she's like, now I know what women were talking about. Now I want to have sex with my husband. And I cannot believe that I missed out on these feelings, this sensation for the longest time. So that's definitely a red flag. Don't disregard it, don't underestimate it. We are meant to have a sex drive, even though society don't talk too much about women's sex drive in general. Another one, and it's a big one, it's always thinking about food. So if you have a meal and then you start pondering, shall I have something else? I don't know if I'm satisfied. Maybe I'm going to have a piece of chocolate. What am I going to have for snack in the afternoon? What am I going to have for dinner? And then if before going to sleep, you start wondering which type of foods you can have the next day, even though most of the time you don't allow yourself to have those foods. If you spend too much time watching What I Eat in a Day video, Pinterest posts about food, Instagram reels and posts about food, if you buy magazines that talks about recipes and things like that, if you sit at a restaurant and you stare at people having their meal, and if you just look at other women and you wonder what they're gonna order and you watch them eat what they've ordered, chances are that you're not eating enough. Chances are that you're suppressing your hunger cues, or that you're not allowing yourself to have the food that you really want and need. And obviously sometimes it's easier said than done, because if we had that freedom of having whatever we wanted, we will possibly have the food, right? But maybe you're coming from a place where food is scary, you don't trust yourself, you don't trust food, food is challenging, food can be an enemy as well, and that's okay. That's something that we always talk about in the Period Comeback Protocol. We have group calls where we talk about our relationship with food. We have a mindset coach. I do talk with all my clients about the relationship with food. I make posts about it. I write articles about it. And it's a very big focus of the Period Comeback Protocol and the HA community, because we have been bombarded by so many informations over the past decades that sometimes it's really hard to tune in with our inner wisdom and our own needs. So next time that you find yourself, you catch yourself thinking about food, even after having a meal or watching other people eat, just ask yourself, what's going on here? Am I allowing myself to have the food? And then last tip, and very quickly, because I know that I'm going as usual over time, you're not seeing any gain. So maybe you have been trying to gain weight and you're not seeing the gain. Maybe you have been going to the gym for quite a long time and you're not seeing progresses. You're still lifting the same weight that you used to lift 1 year ago. Or maybe you have been going to the gym quite consistently, and the muscles, yes, they're there kind of, but no one can really tell them apart, cannot really see the difference except for yourself, because you have been hyper-focused on your body. So muscles only grow when there is an opportunity for it to do so. So our body doesn't want to become fat, which is something that women are scared of. If I eat, I get fat. No, the reality is that if you eat, you have enough energy so your body can function optimally. So you can get your period back. And if you go to the gym, you're going to start seeing the muscles growing, so that your hair, they're not going to fall off. Your nails are not going to be brittle. Your skin is going to be clear, and you have abundant energy to go on with your life. That's what your body wants and needs. It wants enough energy availability. So if you have found yourself nodding through this video and thinking, oh gosh, a couple of the things that Claudia said really resonated with me, I really encourage you to take a break, to take a pause for the next 5 minutes and to write down what really stood out from this life, and asking yourself, have I been lying to myself? Is there reasons why I've been feeling this way? And after that, what are you going to do about it? You have three options. One, you just go out there and do whatever you need to do on your own, and that's absolutely available to you. The second one is that you freeze, you panic, you don't do anything, you don't even take the time to ponder about the information that you have just been given, and you just move on with the rest of your life. And then you possibly will come back in 6 months and wonder why don't I still have a period? And I've seen this happening over and over again. I had this client of mine, she was in quasi recovery for 1.5 years. It was so freaking painful for her. And then she said, you know what, Claudia? I joined the protocol. Within 2.5 months, she got the period. Within 4 months, she was pregnant, because that's what she wanted. But the reality is that when you have the correct guidance, when you have the support, and when you have the proven steps to follow, it gets so much easier. Then at the end of the day, it's up to you, because if you don't make the changes and if you shoot yourself in the foot, nothing is going to change. Doesn't matter how many people are going to be there to support you and tell you all the right informations. But trust me when I say that doing it on your own is 10,000 times more difficult than doing it with someone else that has helped hundreds of women and has gone through it as well. So lovely ladies, if you want to work with me, send me a DM today. We're looking for 1 woman to start in June. Otherwise, I send you all my best wishes and I see you next week. Bye for now.